The message came at 3 in the morning. Every screen on Earth went dark for exactly 2 seconds. Then the face appeared. It was not human. The skin was gray and stretched tight over a skull that seemed too long. The eyes were black and wet like oil. When it spoke, the voice was cold and flat. People of Earth, I am Admiral of the Empire. You have been watched for many centuries. You have been studied. You have been judged. And now your time has come. The creature paused. Behind it, through a massive window, thousands of ships hung in the darkness of space. They were enormous. Each one was larger than a mountain. 12,000 warships have already locked onto your planet's orbit. Your weapons cannot reach us. Your technology is primitive. Your defenses are meaningless. You have 12 hours to surrender your world completely. Every government, every military, every resource, all will belong to the Empire. The Admiral leaned closer to the screen. His black eyes seemed to look at every person on Earth at once. If you do not surrender, we will begin with your largest cities. We will burn them one by one until nothing remains but ash. This is not a negotiation. This is not a warning. This is your only chance to survive. The screen went black again. Then normal broadcasts returned, but nothing was normal anymore. In Seoul, Secretary General Park stood in her office and watched the message replay on her computer. She was 62 years old. Her hair was gray and cut short. She had spent her entire life working for peace between nations. And now, in one moment, everything had changed. Her phone rang. It was the President of the United States, then the Prime Minister of Britain, then the leaders of China, Russia, France, and 20 other nations. Everyone was asking the same question. What do we do? Did not have an answer, not yet. She walked to the window and looked out at the city. Seoul was beautiful in the early morning light. 20 million people lived here. They were waking up now, checking their phones, seeing the alien message, feeling the same fear that was spreading across the entire world. 12 hours, that was all they had. Her assistant, a young man named, knocked on the door. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. The emergency council is ready, he said. They are waiting for you. Nodded, she took a deep breath and walked out of her office. The council room was underground, beneath the United Nations building in New York. Had arrived by emergency transport, a journey that normally took 14 hours but had been completed in less than 2. The world's fastest jets had carried her across the Pacific Ocean while the planet fell into chaos. The room was filled with the most powerful people on Earth: presidents, prime ministers, generals, scientists. They all sat around a long table and they all looked afraid. Took her seat at the head of the table. She looked at each face. These were the leaders who had spent years arguing over borders and trade and politics. Now they were silent. Now they were united by something much bigger than their old disagreements. We have all seen the message, said. Her voice was calm. We have 10 hours remaining. I need to know what options we have. General Park stood up. He was the commander of the Combined Earth Defense Forces, a position that had been created only 5 years ago when the first alien signals were detected. He was a tall man with a hard face and tired eyes. Our options are limited, he said. We have missiles that can reach low orbit, but their ships are positioned beyond our range. We have no weapons that can touch them. What about nuclear weapons? Asked the American president. Useless, General Park replied. Even if we could deliver them, the alien ships appear to have energy shields. Our nuclear weapons would not penetrate. The room fell silent. The fear was growing, could feel it like a cold wind. So we have nothing, said the Russian leader. We are helpless. Perhaps we should consider their offer, said the French president. Surrender may be the only way to save our people. Surrender means slavery, said the Chinese leader. We do not know what they want from us. We do not know what they will do to our people. The arguments began. Voices rose. Fists hit the table. The leaders of Earth were breaking apart, just like the alien admiral had probably expected. Raised her hand. The room slowly became quiet. "I have a question," she said, "for General Park." The general turned to face her. "Yes, Secretary General." "You said our options are limited. You did not say we have no options. What are you not telling us?" The room became very still. Everyone was looking at General Park. The general's face showed nothing. He was silent for a long moment. "There are certain classified projects," he said slowly. "Things that have been kept secret from most governments. Things that even some people in this room do not know about." "What kind of projects?" asked. General Park looked around the room. Then he looked at 60 years ago, a spacecraft crashed in the mountains of North Korea. It was not reported to the public. It was not reported to other nations, but it was recovered, and it was studied. The room erupted. Questions flew from every direction. General Park raised his hand for silence. Over the decades, more vessels were recovered, from oceans, from deserts, from remote forests. Different nations found different ships. Different nations developed different technologies, all in secret, all hidden from each other. "Are you saying we have alien technology?" asked. "I am saying," General Park replied, "that Earth may not be as defenseless as the believe." Stood up, her heart was beating fast, but her face remained calm. "Then I need to see everything," she said. "Every file, every project, every weapon. We have less than 10 hours to decide the future of our species, and I will not make that decision in the dark." General Park nodded slowly. "Follow me," he said. Outside, the sun was rising over New York City. Millions of people were looking up at the sky, searching for the alien ships they knew were there. Fear was everywhere. Panic was spreading. But deep underground, something else was beginning. Something the aliens had never expected. Humanity was about to reveal its secrets. The elevator went down for a very long time, counted the seconds in her head. When they finally stopped, she guessed they were at least 200 meters below the surface. General Park led her through a metal corridor. Armed soldiers stood at every door. Their faces were blank, professional. They had been trained to guard secrets that most humans would never know. "This facility was built in 1967, General Park explained. "After the first crash. Since then, it has grown. There are similar facilities in Russia, China, India, and several other nations. We have been sharing information secretly for the past 20 years. "Why keep this hidden?" asked. "Why not tell the world?" "Because we were afraid," the general admitted. "Afraid of what people would do, afraid of panic, afraid of war. The technology we found was dangerous. It could destroy cities. It could change everything. So we waited, we studied, we prepared." "Prepared for what?" General Park stopped at a large metal door. He placed his hand on a scanner. The door opened slowly. "For this," he said. The room beyond was enormous. It was filled with machines and screens and hundreds of people working at their stations. In the center of the room, holographic displays showed images of Earth's orbit. 12,000 red dots surrounded the planet. Each dot was a warship. But there were also blue dots, thousands of them, hidden among the satellites and space debris that circled Earth. "What am I looking at?" asked. A woman approached them. She was young, maybe 30, with short black hair and sharp eyes. She wore a white coat over a military uniform. "Secretary General, my name is Doctor. I am the lead scientist of Project SHIELD." "Project SHIELD." Doctor nodded. 20 years ago, we began placing defense satellites in Earth's orbit. They look like normal communication satellites. They act like normal communication satellites, but they are not. She touched a control panel. The holographic display zoomed in on one of the blue dots. It looked like any other satellite, small, simple, harmless. Each satellite contains technology we reverse-engineered from recovered alien vessels. Energy weapons, shield generators, Communication jammers. We have placed over 3,000 of them in orbit. Stared at the display. You built a secret army in space. We built a defense system, Doctor corrected. We always knew this day might come. We always knew we might face an enemy we could not defeat with conventional weapons, so we prepared. Can these satellites destroy the alien fleet? Doctor paused. Her expression became serious. Honestly, we do not know. We have never tested them against an actual enemy. We do not know the full capabilities of the ships. Our weapons might work, or they might be completely useless. Turn to General Park. What else do we have? The general led her to another part of the facility. Here, the rooms were filled with soldiers and military equipment. Saw weapons that looked nothing like the guns and missiles she knew. They were sleek and silver, with glowing blue lights. Energy rifles, General Park said, based on alien technology. They fire concentrated plasma that can burn through most materials. We have manufactured approximately 50,000 of them. 50,000. That is not enough to arm even a small army. No, but it is enough to arm our most elite units. Special forces from every major nation have been training with these weapons for the past decade. They are ready. Walked through the facility in silence. She saw more wonders, vehicles that could fly without wings, armor that could stop bullets and blades, devices that could heal wounds in seconds. Humanity had been preparing for war, in secret, for 60 years. But was it enough? They returned to the main control room. Doctor was waiting for them with a tablet in her hands. Secretary General, there is something else you need to see. She handed the tablet too. On the screen was a video file, pressed play. The video showed an alien. Nada. This one was different. Its skin was blue and it had 4 arms. It was sitting in a chair in what looked like a prison cell. My name is, the alien said. I am a trader from the system. 3 years ago I was captured by your people when my ship was damaged in your solar system. I have been kept here ever since. But I have told your scientists many things, many important things. The video continued, explained the structure of the empire. He described their weapons, their tactics, their weaknesses. He talked about their culture, their history, their fears. They are conquerors, said. They have destroyed many civilizations, but they are not invincible. They have weaknesses. Their shield technology depends on a central power source on each ship. If that source is disrupted, their shields fail, and without shields, their ships are vulnerable. Watched the entire video twice, then she looked at Doctor. This alien prisoner, is he still alive? Yes, he is in a secure facility in Switzerland. He has been cooperative. He does not like they destroyed his many centuries ago. Nodded slowly. Her mind was racing. Pieces were falling into place. Can our satellite weapons disrupt these power sources? She asked. Doctor looked at General Park. The general nodded. We believe so, Doctor said. Our jammers were designed specifically for this purpose, based on information from. If we activate them at the right moment, we might be able to disable the shields on a significant portion of the fleet. How significant? Possibly 20 to 30%, maybe more. Closed her eyes. 20 to 30%. That meant 3,000 ships without shields, but that still left 9,000 warships fully operational. It is not enough, she said quietly. No, General Park agreed. Not by itself, but there is one more thing. He led her to a separate room. This one was darker, with only a single screen glowing on the wall. On the screen was an image of a massive structure floating in space, hidden behind the moon. What is that? Asked. We call it the hammer, General Park said. It is a weapon we have been building for 30 years, using the most advanced alien technology we have recovered. It fires a concentrated beam of energy that can punch through any known material. Can it destroy their ships? It can destroy anything, but it has one limitation. It takes 12 hours to charge, and once it fires, it cannot be used again for another 12 hours. 12 hours, repeated. Exactly the time they gave us to surrender. Yes, we believe that is not a coincidence. We believe they know about the hammer, or at least they suspect we have something. That is why they gave us this deadline. They want us to surrender before we can use it. Stared at the screen. The hammer, a weapon that could change everything, but only if they had enough time. How long until it is fully charged? She asked. General Park checked his watch. 9 hours and 43 minutes. Did the math. The deadline was in 8 hours and 15 minutes. They would be short by almost 90 minutes. We need to buy time, she said. How? Turned to face the general. Her eyes were hard. Her voice was steady. By doing something they do not expect. By refusing to show fear. By making them believe we have already won. General Park looked at her with surprise. Then slowly he smiled. What do you have in mind? Walked back toward the elevator. Her decision was made. Prepare a broadcast, she said, to the entire world, and to the fleet. It is time for humanity to answer. Admiral sat in his command chair and watched the blue planet spinning slowly before him. Earth. Such a small world. Such a weak species. This would be his easiest conquest yet. His fleet of 12,000 warships stretched across the darkness of space like a metal cloud. Each ship carried thousands of soldiers, hundreds of weapons, and enough firepower to burn continents to glass. The humans had no chance. They never did. Admiral, said his communications officer, a young named, we are receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. Already, smiled, his gray skin stretched tight over his skull. They wish to surrender early. Good, let them beg. Sir, it does not appear to be a surrender message. Smile faded, put it on screen. The main display flickered. A human female appeared. She was old, with gray hair and a calm face. She wore a simple dark suit. Behind her was a room filled with other humans, all watching silently. I am Secretary General Park, the woman said. I speak for the United Nations of Earth. I speak for all humanity. Leaned forward in his chair. This was interesting. The human showed no fear. Her voice did not shake. Her eyes did not look away. We have received your message, Admiral. We have heard your demands, and we have considered your offer carefully. She paused. The entire bridge of flagship was silent. Every officer was watching the screen. Earth declines. Blinked. He was not sure he had heard correctly. We will not surrender, continued. We will not submit. We will not kneel. You have come to our world with threats and violence. You have demanded that we give up everything we are. But you have made a mistake, Admiral, a serious mistake. She leaned closer to the camera. Her eyes seemed to look directly at. You assumed we would be afraid. Slammed his fist on his armrest. This is madness. Does she not see our ships? Does she not understand what we can do? Sir said nervously, should I end the transmission? No, let her finish her foolish speech. It will make her destruction more satisfying. On the screen was still speaking. For 60 years we have known you were out there. For 60 years we have watched the stars and wondered when you would come. And for 60 years we have prepared. You think we are primitive. You think we are weak. You think your 12,000 ships make you strong. She smiled. It was a small smile, but it made feel something he had not felt in centuries. Uncertainty. Let me tell you something about humans, Admiral. We are survivors. We have faced extinction before. Ice ages, plagues, wars that killed millions. And every time we have survived, we have adapted. We have grown stronger. You are not the first enemy we have faced. You are simply the... Stood up. His hands were shaking with anger. Enough of this. Weapons officer, prepare to fire on their capital cities. We will teach these insects what happens when they defy the Empire. The weapons officer nodded and began entering commands. But then he stopped. His face went pale. "Admiral, there is a problem." "What problem?" "Our weapon systems, they are not responding." Spun around. "What do you mean, not responding?" "I mean they are offline, sir. All of them across all ships." The bridge erupted in chaos. Officers shouted at each other, checking their stations, trying to understand what was happening. Grabbed the weapons officer by his collar. "This is impossible. Our systems cannot just fail." On the main screen, Park was still smiling. "You seem to be having technical difficulties, Admiral. Allow me to explain. 30 minutes ago, we activated our orbital defense network. Your communication systems have been compromised. Your weapons have been locked out. Your ships are now under our control." Released the weapons officer and stared at the screen in disbelief. "You are bluffing. You do not have this technology. You cannot." "We have many things you do not know about," replied. "We have been watching you too, Admiral. We have learned your secrets. We know your weaknesses, and we have prepared for this moment." Tried to calm himself. He was a veteran of 100 conquests. He had destroyed civilizations far more advanced than these humans. He would not be defeated by tricks. "Even if you have disabled our weapons temporarily, you cannot hold them forever. Our engineers will restore our systems, and then we will destroy you." "Perhaps," said, "but I wonder, Admiral, how confident are you in your shields?" The bridge went silent again. Felt a cold sensation spreading through his chest. "What do you mean?" "Right now, at this very moment, we are targeting the power cores of your shield generators. We know exactly where they are. We know exactly how to disable them. In approximately 30 seconds, we will demonstrate." Turned to his science officer. "Is this possible?" The science officer was frantically checking data on his screen. His hands were trembling. "Sir, I am detecting unusual energy signatures from multiple objects in Earth's orbit. They appear to be satellites, but the energy readings are not consistent with human technology. They are much more advanced." "How advanced?" The science officer looked up. His face was gray with fear. "Advanced, sir, or beyond." Before could respond, a beam of blue light shot through space. It struck a warship on the far edge of the fleet. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship's shields flickered and died. The vessel was exposed, naked, vulnerable. "Shield failure on the Conquest," someone shouted. "Complete shield failure." More beams fired. One after another, ships across the fleet lost their shields. Watched in horror as his mighty armada was stripped of its primary defense. "How many ships?" he demanded. 3,000 ships have lost shields," the science officer reported, "and the number is climbing." On the screen, Park watched with calm satisfaction. "That was our demonstration, Admiral. A quarter of your fleet is now defenseless. We could destroy them at any moment, but we choose not to because we are not like you." Sat back down in his chair. His legs felt weak. This was not possible. This was not how conquest worked. The weak surrendered. The strong took what they wanted. That was the natural order. That was how the universe worked. But these humans were not following the rules. "What do you want?" he asked quietly. His expression softened slightly. "We want peace, Admiral. We have always wanted peace. But we will not accept slavery. We will not accept destruction. If you attack us, we will defend ourselves. And we will win. You cannot defeat 12,000 warships. Perhaps not all of them, but we can defeat enough. And here is something else you should consider, Admiral. Even if you destroy us, even if you burn our world to ashes, what will you tell your empire? That it took 12,000 ships to defeat one small planet. That the mighty barely survived against a species you called primitive." She leaned forward. "How will that look to your enemies? To the other empires watching from the shadows, the ones waiting for a sign of weakness?" Said nothing, but he knew she was right. They had enemies, many enemies. If word spread that a single planet had challenged their fleet and nearly won, others would grow bold. Others would attack. "We are offering you a choice," said. "You can continue this invasion and face the consequences, or you can leave, retreat to your empire. Tell your leaders that Earth is not worth the cost. The choice is yours." The transmission ended. The screen went dark. Sat in silence for a long moment. His officers watched him, waiting for orders. Finally, he spoke. "Get our weapons back online, whatever it takes." The battle was not over yet. Commander Wu sat in the control center of Earth's orbital defense network. Around him, 50 technicians worked at their stations, monitoring data, adjusting systems, and watching the enemy fleet through dozens of screens. They had done the impossible. They had disabled 3,000 ships in less than a minute, but knew this was only the beginning. The real battle was still coming. "Report," he said calmly. "Engineers are attempting to restore their weapons systems," said Lieutenant Myra, his second in command. "Our jamming signal is holding, but they are making progress. Estimated time until restoration, 45 minutes. Nodded. 45 minutes. That was both good and bad. It meant they had bought some time, but the hammer still needed over an hour to fully charge. They were going to be short. What about the ships with disabled shields? 3,400 ships are now without shield protection. However, they still have conventional armor and backup systems. They are not defenseless." "And the Secretary General?" "She is on her way here now." The door opened, and Park walked into the control center. She looked tired but determined. General Park followed close behind her. Commander said, "Excellent work." "Thank you, Secretary General, but we have a problem." Showed her the main display. A timer in the corner showed the remaining charge time for the hammer, 73 minutes. Another timer showed the estimated time until weapons came back online, 43 minutes. "We have a gap of 30 minutes, explained. "Once their weapons are restored, they will be able to attack, and we cannot fire the hammer until it is fully charged." Studied the display. Her face showed no emotion, but could see the tension in her shoulders. "What are our options?" "We can try to extend our jamming signal, but that would require more power than our satellites currently have. We would need to draw energy from the hammer's charging system, which would delay the hammer even longer." "Correct." Was silent for a moment, then she turned to General Park. "What would happen if we launched an attack now, before they restore their weapons?" General Park shook his head. "Our satellite weapons are primarily defensive. They can disable shields and jam communications, but they cannot destroy ships. We would need the hammer for that." "What about conventional weapons, missiles, nuclear warheads?" "They might work against the 3,000 ships without shields, but the other 9,000 ships would still be protected, and once their weapons come back online, they would retaliate with full force." Watched the Secretary General process this information. She was facing an impossible choice. Attack now and risk everything, or wait and hope they did not strike first. "There is another option," said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. "What option?" asked. Pulled up a new display. It showed a detailed map of the fleet formation. "The flagship is here, at the center of their formation. It is the largest ship in the fleet, and according to our intelligence, it contains the main command system for the entire armada." "You want to attack the flagship?" "I want to disable it. If we can take out their command ship, the rest of the fleet will be without leadership. They will be confused, disorganized. It might buy us the time we need." General Park stepped forward. "How would you disable it? The flagship still has its shields. But its communication systems are compromised, just like the rest of the fleet. We could send a targeted virus through their network, something that would shut down their core systems." "Do we have such a virus?" Nodded slowly. Doctor has been working on one for years, based on alien code we recovered from the crashed vessels. It is untested, but theoretically it should work. Looked at the display for a long moment. Then she made her decision. Do it. The next 30 minutes were the most intense of life. Doctor uploaded the virus to their transmission systems. Engineers worked frantically to boost the signal strength. Technicians monitored every fluctuation in the enemy fleet. And then they sent it. The virus shot through space at the speed of light, riding on the same communication frequencies they used to coordinate their fleet. It slipped past their firewalls, disguised as routine data. It spread through their network like a silent plague. On the main display, the flagship began to flicker. Its lights dimmed. Its engines stuttered. "It is working," Doctor whispered. "The virus is spreading through their primary systems." Watched with growing hope, the flagship was losing power. Its weapons went dark. Its shields flickered but stayed up, running on backup power. Then, Admiral's face appeared on every screen in the control center. He looked furious. His gray skin was flushed with anger. His black eyes burned with hatred. "You dare attack my ship," he screamed. "You dare strike at the heart of my fleet. You will pay for this insult. You will all die screaming." Admiral said calmly, "Your flagship is disabled. Your fleet is in disarray. I suggest you reconsider your position." "Reconsider? You think a temporary setback will stop the Empire? We have conquered 1,000 worlds. We have destroyed civilizations that made your species look like insects. And yet here you are," replied, "unable to fire a single weapon at us." His face twisted with rage. He turned to someone off-screen and shouted orders in his own language. Then he looked back at the camera. "You have delayed us. Nothing more. My engineers are already restoring our systems. In 30 minutes, my weapons will be online again. And when they are, I will personally oversee the destruction of your world." "In 30 minutes," said, "we will be ready for you." He cut the transmission. The screens went dark. Lieutenant Myra looked at him with wide eyes. Commander was that wise, provoking him like that. Smiled grimly. He was already provoked. I was simply buying us time. "How much time?" Checked the hammer's charging display. 61 minutes remaining. "Not enough." Stepped forward. Her voice was steady. "Then we make more time. Commander, can you launch another virus?" "We are working on it, but they will be more careful now. It will be harder to penetrate their defenses." "Then we try something else. What about physical interference?" General Park's eyes widened. "You mean send ships?" "I mean send anything that will slow them down. Satellites, probes, debris. Make them dodge obstacles. Make them work for every meter they move." Considered this. It was desperate, it was dangerous, but it might work. "We have 300 auxiliary satellites in storage," he said. "Old models, outdated technology, but they are physical objects. If we launch them into the fleet's path, they would have to either destroy them or maneuver around them." "How long would that delay them?" "Maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20. Nodded. "Do it." The satellites launched within 10 minutes. They shot into space like a swarm of metal insects, spreading out across the path between Earth and the alien fleet. On the main display, the ships began to react. Some fired weapons at the approaching objects. Others changed course to avoid them. The neat formation of the armada began to break apart. Watched with grim satisfaction, they were buying time, minute by minute, second by second. The hammer's timer continued to count down. 48 minutes, 45, 42. And then disaster struck. "Commander," Lieutenant Myra shouted, "they have restored weapons on their primary assault squadron. 200 ships are breaking formation and heading directly for Earth." Saw them on the display. 200 warships fully armed, shields intact, racing toward the planet at maximum speed. "How long until they reach firing range?" 12 minutes. 12 minutes. The hammer still needed over 40 minutes to charge. Looked at Secretary General. Her face was pale, but her eyes were still determined. "Commander," she said quietly, "whatever happens next, I want you to know that we did everything we could." Nodded. "Yes, Secretary General, we did." He turned back to the display. 200 ships, 12 minutes. But humanity was not finished yet. The 200 warships cut through space like knives. Their weapons charged. Their shields glowed. They were the tip of the spear, and Earth was the target. Commander watched them approach on the main display. 11 minutes until they reached firing range. The hammer was still charging. There was nothing he could do to stop them. But then Doctor spoke. "Commander, I have an idea." Turned to face her. "I am listening." The 3,000 ships without shields. They are still operational but vulnerable. If we could turn them against the assault squadron. How? We disabled their weapons. We disabled their offensive weapons, but their defensive systems are still active. Automated collision avoidance. Emergency maneuvering protocols. She paused. What if we made them believe they were about to crash? Understood immediately. You want to trick them into evacuating. I want to trick them into chaos. If we send false collision warnings to those 3,000 ships, they will scatter in every direction. Some of them might actually crash into each other. Others might block the path of the assault squadron. It would cause confusion across the entire fleet, said slowly. But would it stop the assault? It might delay them, long enough for the hammer to charge. Looked at Secretary General. She nodded. "Do it," she said. Doctor worked faster than had ever seen anyone work. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Code scrolled across her screen. Within 3 minutes, she had created a program that would send false emergency signals to every unshielded ship. "Ready," she said. "Send it." The effect was immediate and spectacular. On the main display, the 3,000 shieldless ships suddenly broke formation. They spun in random directions, their automated systems trying to avoid collisions that did not exist. Several ships actually did collide, their hulls crunching together in silent explosions. Others fired emergency thrusters, rocketing away from their positions. The assault squadron, racing toward Earth, found their path suddenly blocked by panicking vessels. They tried to navigate through the chaos, but ships were everywhere, spinning and crashing and burning. "The assault squadron is slowing down," Lieutenant Myra reported. "They cannot maintain speed through the debris field." "How much time did we gain?" Estimated delay, 22 minutes. Did the math, 22 minutes, plus the 12 minutes until they reached firing range. That was 34 minutes total. The hammer needed 38 minutes. They were still 4 minutes short. "It is not enough," said quietly. "We are so close, but it is not enough." Stared at the display. 4 minutes. After everything they had done, they were going to fall short by 4 minutes. And then his communication panel lit up. An incoming transmission from an unknown source. "Commander," said the communication officer, "we are receiving a message. It is not from the—" "Put it on screen." A face appeared, blue skin, 4 arms, large, intelligent eyes. "The alien prisoner." "Greetings, humans," said. "I have been watching your battle from my cell. Very impressive. I did not think you had it in you." Said carefully, "How are you contacting us?" "Your guards were kind enough to leave a communication device within my reach. Very careless of them. But that is not important. What is important is that I know how to give you the time you need." Stepped forward. "How?" "The flagship. It is damaged but not destroyed. Its shields are still running on backup power, but I know the codes to shut them down completely." "Why would you help us?" His expression hardened. "Because the destroyed they killed my family. They enslaved my people. I have waited centuries for a chance to hurt them, and now, thanks to you, I have that chance." He transmitted a string of numbers and symbols. Doctor caught them on her screen. These codes will deactivate the flagship's shields, said. Once the shields are down, you can destroy it with your conventional weapons. And when the flagship falls, the fleet will fall into chaos. Looked at the codes, then he looked at Doctor. Can you verify these? Give me 2 minutes. Those 2 minutes felt like hours. The assault squadron was still pushing through the debris field, getting closer to Earth with every passing second. The hammer was still charging, and everything depended on whether was telling the truth. The codes are legitimate, Doctor finally said. They match the encryption protocols we captured from the crashed ships. Did not hesitate, send them. The codes shot across space, riding the same communication channels they had used before. They slipped into the flagship's backup systems. They found the shield generator. And they shut it down. On the main display, the flagship's shields flickered and died. The enormous vessel hung in space, exposed and vulnerable. All orbital defense satellites ordered, target the flagship, fire. 3,000 satellites responded. Beams of concentrated energy lanced through space, converging on a single target. The flagship's armor held for 3 seconds. Then it began to melt. Then it began to burn. The explosion was silent, as all explosions in space are, but it was beautiful, a flower of fire and metal blooming in the darkness. Admiral was gone. The fleet froze. Without their flagship, without their admiral, they did not know what to do. Ships stopped firing. Ships stopped moving. The assault squadron, less than a minute from firing range, halted their advance. The hammer is fully charged, Lieutenant Myra announced. Turned to Secretary General. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. Do it, she whispered. The hammer fired. A beam of pure white energy shot from behind the moon. It was so bright that satellites across the solar system registered it. It cut through the fleet like a blade through paper. Ship after ship exploded. The beam swept across the formation, destroying everything in its path. In 30 seconds, 4,000 warships were reduced to burning wreckage. The remaining ships, those that had survived, did the only thing they could do. They ran. 8,000 warships had entered Earth's orbit 12 hours ago. Less than 3,000 escaped. They fled toward the edge of the solar system, their engines burning at maximum power, their crews terrified of the small blue planet they had thought was helpless. In the control center, everyone was silent. They watched the enemy retreat. They watched the debris of destroyed ships drift through space. They watched, and they could not quite believe what they had done. Humanity had won. 1 week later, Secretary General Park stood before the United Nations General Assembly. Behind her, a massive screen showed images of the battle, the enemy fleet, the satellite defense network, the hammer's devastating beam. We have survived, she said, but survival is not enough. We must now prepare for what comes next. She paused and looked at the assembled leaders. The Empire will not forget what happened here. They will return, perhaps with more ships, perhaps with different tactics. We must be ready. But we have also gained something valuable. We have gained allies. The screen changed to show, now wearing clothes instead of prison garments. He stood in a bright room, surrounded by human scientists and diplomats. Has agreed to help us. He has contacts across the galaxy, species who hate the species who have been waiting for someone to stand against them. We will reach out to these species. We will build alliances. We will prepare. Turn back to face the audience. 12 hours ago, we were told to yield. We were told that resistance was impossible. We were told that we were primitive and weak and helpless. She smiled. We proved them wrong. Around the world, people watched her speech on their screens. They cheered. They cried. They held each other and looked up at the sky. The stars were no longer just points of light. They were destinations. They were possibilities. They were the future. And humanity was ready to claim it. In a quiet room in the Orbital Defense Control Center, Commander stood by a window and watched Earth turn slowly below. Lieutenant Myra stood beside him. "What do you think happens now?" she asked. Was quiet for a moment, then he spoke. "Now we learn, now we grow, now we become something more than we were." He turned to face her. "The galaxy knows about us now. They know we do not yield. They know we do not surrender. They know that when you threaten Earth, Earth fights back." He looked back at the stars. "And that changes everything."